Hey, it's 2 o'clock and we'll call the meeting to order and welcome everybody back to council, and going to be the start of our centennial year and should be a great year. Lots of stuff happening in 2019, so time to get back to work. So, first order of business is 1.1. Is there any items on today's agenda that is a conflict of interest or pecuniary interest for anybody? I see no indication of same, so we'll move forward. On today's agenda, there's two additions. Item 7.1 is a report, letter of support from Cam. He did a report. And then item 9.2, Councillor Chapman was at a economic symposium, and he'll say a couple words about that. Is there any other additions? Councillor Avery?
Thank you, Worship. I'm not sure where it would fall on our agenda, but can we just discuss the town's Christmas closure hours? Just so we have a full understanding of the why we're closed for that 14 days or that long period of time between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay. Is anybody here okay to respond, or would that be better to wait till the CAO is here? Might be better at the end of the meeting, I think, and round table, I think, and not to be obscure about things, but you know, I think Kalen would be best to respond to that. So we'll put it in the 12s, and then he can make it. We can ask him in round table there, and because he won't be here till about 3, I don't believe. Motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councillor Simpson. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. And then we have 3.1, regular council meeting minutes of December 10th, 2018. Can anybody remember way back to the 2018? Seems like a year ago now. Seemed to be in order to me, but. Councillor Lloyd?
I just have a question about the delegates. I mean, some of them didn't even sign in. How could they be classified as a delegate?
I think Lana?
Those were the people that did sign in that spoke. So the delegates is identified if they speak. If they come up. Okay, well the one must have signed in after she spoke, so she had signed in before.
Okay. Any other discussion about the minutes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adopt them. Councillor Pauls moves the minutes in a verbal, non-verbal kind of a fashion, but any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay. All right. Then we have 4.1 IDS, Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep my comments relatively brief. Essentially, this is just a matter of good practice, good planning practice. The recommendation to council would be that, given that there's been some recent concern over how the IDS has been interpreted in terms of a relatively significant community growth item, and we don't have a formal response or formal understanding, as it were, as to how the IDS has been and should continue to be interpreted, the recommendation would be to reach out to our professional planning consultancy, which is the old member of the Regional Service Commission, and have them do a more formal technical review of the document to allow the town from now and into the future to understand how to apply this document. I should highlight that regardless of what we look at now, in the recent processes undertaken in the past, annexation and other planning processes, this document, although never formally adopted by the town or the county, has always been considered within the broader context of how and where and when and why to grow our community in conjunction
Spencer. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Worship. In support of the request and the motion upcoming, just a couple of things. ORSC was part of the initial research on this before.
My understanding, through the chair, if I may, my understanding is that they were very much on the fringes of the initial process. However, there is enough institutional knowledge there, and in reaching out to the consultants who prepared the original plan or strategy to undertake a review of a reasonable amount of depth.
Two more points, if I may. The second one is, would we have to mention anything to the county about us doing this research on the IDS, or this is on our own, being that the original research project was sort of like a dual?
Again, through the chair, thank you for the question, Councillor Chapman. As a part of good practice, we would always reach out to the county and ask for the commentary on this. I should highlight again that this was never formally adopted as a strategy or a document to refer to as part of future planning considerations. So within that context, we'll definitely look to the county for some of their commentary, their feedback on the matter.
Leads me to my final question, Spencer. This will not force us into a formal adoption of the IDS if there's a new study done or a new revision done.
Through the chair, no, it would not. Not in any way, shape, or form. Really, what we're looking for is what parts of the IDS to carry forward and to continue to help inform our planning decisions, and which parts of the IDS to recognize as highly conceptual and needing a bit of a recheck or a reconsideration, given that the document is getting on in age in terms of when it was first written, and highlighting the fact that it has never been reviewed since it was conceptualized.
Councillor Hall, looks like.
Just wondering, after the review, why would we not be formally adopting the plan once we have this review done on it? I'm struggling with why we would go through the process to review if we're not going to, at the end of the day, formally adopt it, along with formally adopting the new municipal plan.
Through the chair to Councillor Holm, excellent question. Basically, the short answer to that question would be that we don't know enough yet to know if there are enough parts of the whole that would make it necessary to adopt that document. I understand there were some detailed or technical deficiencies with the document when it was first presented to county and town council back when it was developed. So really, this is just a way of closing the loop instead of having it come up during relatively significant planning proposals and planning projects, and always being interpreted in different ways by different parties. This is just a way of providing a more formal sense of what value the document provides from this point forward. So I should also highlight that it's not a plan per se, it's just noted as a strategy, so it may or may not be worthwhile to adopt that. Really what we're looking for is taking the bits that are still relevant and putting them into future planning work, such as the new town plan.
I think to speak to it a little bit more, when that IDS was undertaken, it was the benefit of a $500,000 grant from the province, and then the town and the county put in $25,000 to enable the grant to proceed. I think it was 90% dollars, more or less, and so we did a lot of discussion. There was a lot of technical input onto the IDS, and there was no mechanism to initiate any of the strategies that were uncovered during the strategy process. So I think this would be a valuable exercise to, with the benefit of hindsight, see what value the actual IDS, and then, like you say, Councillor Holm and Councillor Chapman, whether or not you want to entertain adopting any of the separate strategies with the up-to-date information information on, get a firm understanding of what the people that constituted the strategy, what their, how in depth they were on the planning and the engineering, if there was, and what kind of inputs were in there, and how valid they are in contextualizing the Coaldale of 2019. So I think it'll be a valuable exercise, and I would imagine that exercise would formulate what we want to do with the IDS in a more tangible way going forward. I think the council of the day was kind of disappointed that there was no desire to really engage further on different strategies with our partner at the time, the county, and so it was. Neither organization at that time had probably the horsepower to really engage in a meaningful way any of the actual strategies, and there was an opportunity to go for quite a handsome grant to actually initiate that strategy. And if that grant would have been secured, then perhaps there would have been more work done on the basis of what the strategy brought together. So I think it's a worthwhile exercise to undertake.
So I just have a question. Is how much is this going to cost in terms of man hours and cash? And then also what I understand from this MDP is that part of this will actually be part of that municipal development plan. So are we kind of doubling up here where we don't maybe need to?
Through the chair to Councillor Simpson, I can answer that question and kind of refer back to Councillor Holmes' question at the same time, just for clarity's sake. Basically, what we're doing here is a part of the new town plan, or the town plan that is being developed, so there's no additional cost for this particular part of that project. And just to go back to the question that Councillor Holmes posed, really what would happen, instead of trying to retrofit a plan that's now almost 6 years old and bring that into a format where it's been updated with all the new information we have from 6 years ago to now, it's more likely that we would take the relevant parts of that plan and build it into the new town plan. For instance, one of the higher level items that we would consider, and that we really have considered through the growth strategy and the annexation plans, is the application of smart growth as a concept. That's very heavily embedded in the IDS, and it's also reflected in our growth study and our annexation report, and it will likely be in the town plan as well. So that's an example of one particular item that would be carried forward from that document.
Thank you, Spencer. And I think the value too is to really define what IDS was. I think at the end the technical review can come forward and say this was just a strategy, or there's merit in making it a statutory plan or whatnot, but it was really never, as you said, adopted. And to call it a plan or to call it a widget or whatever is probably not accurate until we really have the benefit of hindsight on what this IDS, what value it really has for Coaldale.
Thank you, Worship. I'll make the motion that Council approve a brief technical review of the IDS. It is a bit of an open-ended resolution, so I guess the idea that you would report back to Council on that, on your findings.
Through the chair to Councillor Chapman, yes, that would be the case. Myself and the planners at the Planning Commission who work on this file would be able to present the findings once we've concluded the review.
Thank you. Then I won't need to add that into the motion. Leave it as is. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Councillor Chapman is moving the staff recommendation that Council approve a brief technical review of the IDS. Is that correct, Council? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. No, any opposed? Councillor Paul, sorry. Okay. Councillor Paul is opposed. Okay, and then carrying on, we have 6.1. So the staff report is quite clear. We, in our desire to move forward on this, we forgot to take a motion to secure unanimous consent to have all 3 readings at one time. So to tidy this little bit of business up, we need to have a third reading of solid waste bylaw 751R-12-18. Councillor Simpson moves, she sponsors third reading of that bylaw, is that correct? Okay. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. And we have 7.1, Cameron, the letter of support.
Thank you, and I will be relatively brief. Item 7.1, and I do apologize for it being delayed. We only received some of the required information early this morning. What we're looking at here is a letter of support for grant funding from Southern Alberta's Food Economic Region. So the report is seeking to establish council support for the submission of an application to the Canadian Agricultural Partnership, or CAP, grant program by the Southern Alberta Food Economic Region, which is a regional organization. It's fundamentally a subgroup, regional subgroup of our South Grow larger regional economic development group that basically represents sort of Lethbridge to Tabor within a corridor with a focus on food production type facilities within the area. The group is seeking to secure grant funding to secure some items to help them develop investment seeking materials within the region, including things like trade show booths and that sort of thing. There is no financial commitment being sought from the town at this time. What they're looking for is a letter of support from the mayor to attach as part of their application. And given that, it seemed like a reasonable thing for the town to do, and hence seemed like an appropriate item to place on today's council meeting at short notice.
Cameron, any questions through to staff? Seems like a good initiative to support.
Thank you, Worship. I'll make the motion then that council approve the request and direct administration to submit a letter of support signed by Mayor Kim Craig to the town of Tabor as soon as reasonably possible.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Holm.
Just one question through the Cam. Is South Grow a signatory to this too then? I'm assuming, because they've been the one that we've been attached to for whatever, 10 or 15 years as far as economic development and kind of driver of agriculture in Southern Alberta. So I'm hoping that they would be a signatory to this as well as ourselves. I'd hate to kind of backdoor them by starting a different initiative.
Right. So what this group is basically part of South Grow. It's just a more specific, it's basically the Lethbridge to Tabor members of South Grow working on something more specific within. But at the meeting I attended last week, Peter Casarella was a party to it, and was in fact him that invited me to the meeting. So.
Would it have maybe just a cover copy to South Grow to make sure that they're aware of our support, I guess? Sure. Okay. All right. Councillor Chapman?
I guess before, I still support the motion, but I just want to ask you, Cam, are you sort of the town's kind of the rep on that and continue to work with that committee?
Yes, I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
I was introduced to the group last week, so it's still relatively fresh. But yeah, that would likely be part of my duties within the economic development stream.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Cameron. All right. Then we have 8.1 and 8.2, the development stats. Do you have any commentary at all, Spencer? Or?
Unless there are specific questions from council, I'll let the report speak for itself.
Looks like unless somebody has any specific question or comment, it'd be worthwhile to receive those two items for information then. Councilor Home moves 8.1 and 8.2 for information. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And we have 9.1, Old Man Watershed Council. Doreen, you have something in your possession, I believe.
Bill and I attended an appreciation lunch for our donation to the Old Man Watershed. It was all communities that were represented and individuals and private people, and they presented us with this plaque, or just an appreciation for our involvement with them.
Any other commentary on the meeting per se or not?
Not really. It's just a lunch at New Dynasty for. Bill, do you have something to say about it?
Yeah, thank you. It was simply a public relations reach out to those who have supported Old Man Watershed Council, so it includes private individuals and who have put some significant interest and effort into ensuring that the Watershed Council continues, but also the work and the efforts that they are in advocacy and maintaining the appearance and sort of keeping things clean and making sure that the watershed area is in good, clean order. So I was grateful to attend, and it was Doreen and I were part of a larger contingency of people who had shown interest, and so including others, including SMRID was there, and other municipalities that were along there too.
Thank you, Bill, for attending on our behalf. Motion to receive that for information. Councillor Pauls moves for information. All right, thank you very much. All those in favor? And then 9.2, Councillor Chapman on, I think, January 8th attended economic symposium in Raymond, and he wants to give us a brief update.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. This symposium hosted by Southgrow, I thought was really well done. It was chaired or led by the Economic Developers of the Association of Alberta, and they did a great job on presenting to elected officials on kind of some of the roles that we encounter with reference to economic development. And I sense that throughout the whole day that our council is doing the right thing. You know, our strategic planning, the governance model that we're use, our code of conduct, using other tools in marketing, communications, and also now with Cam on board, really building what business retention and investment is all about, and reaching out to the community and economic development. So I think we are doing the right things. We can do better. There's some ideas that we can really look into the future with seniors and seniors living, with a number of other efforts, including recreation, that we're already starting to move ahead on. I thought that we're doing a great job, and I'd like to thank our administration for taking, and our planning department for taking us down the right roads in terms of our town, and another area of planning as well, which is really kind of the nucleus for what we're all about in Coaldale.
Councillor Chapman? Okay, motion to receive his verbal report for information. Councillor Lloyd, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, that's carried unanimously. And we have information items 11.1 to 11.7. Are there any items within that section that anybody cares to comment on, or? Councillor Simpson?
We'll make a motion to accept for information from 11.1 to 11.7.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, I think there was unanimous. Thank you very much. And we're all done the public portion of the meeting, and so we can move for in camera then. Anybody can, Councillor Lloyd moves that we go into closed session. All in favor? Okay. And anybody opposed?